Well, Bill, we haven't talked to you since you landed here in Blacksburg. Curious, going back to last year, why you wanted to come back to the college game in general. What brought you back instead of staying in the NFL?
The landscape for me coaching, I learned at a young age, it's not necessarily where you coach, what league you coach, what conference. It's with who and for who. And shoot, it might be 14 years ago, me, Coach Fuente, Coach Korn, and some of the other guys that previously coached here, Coach Wiggins, Coach Weiss was there, Coach Jafar. We all kind of lived together. And after games on a Saturday, we'd say one day we're going to be playing in the big game. And we're all going to do it together. Coach Fuente went his route, I went my route, and the timing was just right. He gave me a call probably in December and asked if I'd be interested. And as much as I loved Buffalo and coaching in the NFL, and this was an opportunity I couldn't pass. And right, wrong, or indifferent, the field's still 100 yards, 11 on 11, college or pro. I want to be around good people, and the family atmosphere that Coach creates was the big draw for me. People I knew, and I'm 42 years old. I've moved 18 times. I didn't even know where Virginia was on the map. And I talked to my wife, and I said, let's go do it. And she jumped on board, and here we are.
And what do you take, the difference between, you said, the field is the same and everything, but coaching NFL and pros and coaching college athletes, do you change your style at all? Or do you having learned, experience in both, how does that inform kind of how you coach at the college level?
I would say the style is pretty much the same. Maybe some of the techniques and game plans. Now, running quarterbacks is cool in the NFL now. Mahomes, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson. The zone read, RPO college game is slowly creeping in, and teams that win implement that kind of offense. But the overall day-to-day, how I coach is the same, but who you're coaching is different. Coaching 30-year-old men that are married with families, making millions, versus a 17-year-old freshman who's homesick. So you gotta, the interaction with each student or player is different, but the day-to-day technique in football 101 and how we coach D-line play still translates, NFL versus pro, but just, I guess, the way college and pro teams are moving forward, the gap isn't as big anymore. Like, it's slowly merging together. And but there's something refreshing about teaching a young kid to be a young man, and it's very refreshing. I'm happy I'm here, and I wouldn't be anywhere else.
And the COVID of it all last year, how much did that kind of delay and throw you for, throw the coaching the position and affect you kind of teaching these kids?
No, it was hard. You moved down here, and Coach Fuente was nice enough to let me live in his basement for 2 weeks, and then moved to a hotel and looking for a place to live, and COVID pops, and I have to drive back to Buffalo and work from Buffalo here, and I was just trying to immerse myself and learn the Hokie way, and so there was a speed bump. You had to go back home to come back, and I just wanted to learn more about the community, the people, and the town itself, and the culture, and why this place was so special for so long, and how they win so many games. I wanted to dive in, and there was a little bit of a setback, and being the new coach on an older staff, but there was some more changes within the staff, so we wanted to build that bond, and via Zoom you can only do so much, so it was a setback, but we made do, and again, where in the football handbook does it say when COVID strikes, how do you coach? It's unprecedented. Nobody's ever had to do it, and I thought we handled it as best we could, and And again, somebody in 10 years, it's going to be in the handbook, but we had no idea how to deal with it, and I thought we did okay. And moving forward, it teaches you how to coach in a different way outside the box than you're used to, which in a weird way is beneficial.
Andy?
Hey, Bill, I know your dad was such an influence on your coaching style and your life there. How would you describe your overall defensive line coaching philosophy with him, or if yours is separated at all?
He was the pioneer for me. Growing up, he was my hero. I only wanted to be him. Everything I do, I think, what would my dad do? Now, my dad was 6'5" and change, 350 on a good day, a big behemoth man. I know I got the short end of the stick when it came to genetics, but he's an attacking, aggressive, wild horse riding coach, and it worked for a long time in the NFL, and it worked for a long time in college prior to that. And it's time-tested, battle-proven. It's worked for a long time, and I was lucky enough to coach with him across the hall for 5 years, and I kind of took what he taught me and every other coach I worked with taught me and kind of blended it into my own way. I'm not as old and as crotchety and as mean as my dad was, but maybe that's why he was so good. But no, every meeting, every day, every practice, if you didn't know me from my old man, you'd hear and see him out there, and everything I do is for him. That was my best friend. That's my guy, and I'm just trying to make him proud. But it's an attacking, aggressive, in-your-face system, and I think that's the only way to do it.
I think I've heard you tell stories about John Randall and kind of being around him and stuff like that. I mean, that's not an ordinary childhood for somebody growing up and being around those kind of players.
No. I'm very blessed, and the things I got to do weren't normal to the other kids. I grew up in a meeting room. My summer break was training camp, and maybe I took for granted being so lucky going to camp and being around all this stuff and around these good players. And the good part was I got to learn football first rate, in your face, right there in front of you. But the coaching fraternity means you got to move. So I might have lost some high school friends or middle school friends because I had to move so much, but like I got firsthand teaching, and I think about my kids all the time, and Coach Fuente does a good job. It doesn't matter what day of the week, what time of the year, you might hear some pitter-patter upstairs, and kids are welcome here, and it's a family environment because we spend so much time and energy here with our players and our students that sometimes the family life gets lost in the shuffle due to the amount of the hours. But being a kid in a coaching family, and now I got to bring my kids up. Last Sunday evening, we went in the indoor and played t-ball. Like, how lucky am I to be able to bring my kids to an indoor facility and play t-ball? So those are some of the blessings and some of the benefits of being around coaching, and being around coaches that let family be around is very important to me.
And you and Tap seem to have a pretty good rapport, just kind of hit it off right away like that. What's it like now working with J.C. Price, somebody who's got a few more years under his belt as a coach to be working with?
And that's a good question and a funny question. I'm the new guy. I'm a Midwest guy. I've moved around a lot, but like this part of the country, this conference is all new to me. And I was blessed to have a guy who lived it and played it, and Coach Tap. He grew up here, played here, long, successful career in the NFL, and a bunch of his coaches and mentors in the NFL I actually know and are friends with. So we had a bond of common friends, and so he kind of helped me teach the Hokie way. You know, I want to know what Hokie DNA is, what it means to be a Hokie, and like I said, I'm the new guy, and he helped me. Now, JC comes in, and he did the same thing. And we talked in our staff room earlier, in the defensive staff and even in the whole staff, we might have 5 captains that played here on staff. I dare you to find another school in the country that has 5 people that coach that were actually captains on their team at that program. So TAP was like the bridge to the younger, newer breed of college athletes, and JC is kind of the older goat, and I'm in the middle because I'm the new guy, so I got feedback both ways, and all it's done is help me become a better coach and understand really what tech is. And growing up in a coaching family and being a football fan, like, I know what it is, but until you're really here and immerse yourself in it and experience it, it's like nothing else. So, like, I got an older guy, a younger guy, the older school, the newer school, and believe me, I'm just soaking it all in, and like, I'm the real winner in having 2 guys like that around me to help teach me about what it means to be a Hokie.
Thank you.
Mike? Yeah, wanted to ask you about some players. Amari Barno obviously had a standout season, but only after really spending a couple weeks practicing at the position and then hit and go. What can this offseason do for him? And what did you see when you watched film? Just, were you surprised at all the immediate success he had, or did you kind of expect it from what you did see, his kind of innate skill set?
Little bit of a mixed bag. I knew the kid had a chance, and I knew he was going to make plays. How fast he made them might have surprised me a little bit. The guy played D-line for all of 10 minutes, and next thing you know, due to injury, he ends up being a 7 or 8 game starter, and he's playing his most meaningful football at a new position. And he made a ton of plays, and the sky is the limit with him. There is no ceiling. He has all the skills. He has all the tools. But what people don't know is he battled through some injuries and couldn't necessarily practice the way somebody who is new to a position should, to be able to get all the nuances of how to do everything. So he had to do a bunch of his study from afar and maybe from the sideline, but when you put him in the game, the mental errors were minimal. He knew what to do, and every rep he takes, he's going to take another step. He's going to be a leader for this team. We're excited about him. And as good as he played last year, he's probably a better person, which is more exciting for me. His mother did a great job, and, I mean, we're all waiting for him to explode. And part of my job is to help him do that. But he's on the right track, and we're thrilled to have him.
And then you get Jordan Williams at tackle from the transfer portal, guy, rare to get somebody with so much championship experience. What has he brought? And when you watched his film, what did you think? He talked about this as sort of like a stepping stone. He was open about wanting to use you and Daryl at the time to really unlock his game. What do you think you could do to help him do that?
First and foremost, he's a big guy who moves like a little guy. He's obviously a heavily recruited prospect, has played in big games and has won big games. And that's kind of where we are as a program, is we want to take the next step and win the big games and play in the big games, so his experience can help some of the youth. Obviously, the systems are going to be different and new, but just in the limited amount of time going through walkthroughs and going through meetings, the guy knows football. He's played in big games. He's a big athlete. He can help us win. How fast, how much, in what aspect, training camp will tell us, but we're thrilled to have him. He's fit right in. He probably had his best day of conditioning this morning. His stock is on the rise, and again, big bodies who can move are rare, and especially a guy who's been in the fight and won big games and can teach the younger guys what it's like to play in the big games, so when it happens, it's not a new experience for them. But we're thrilled. He's going to fit in just fine, and we're excited to see where he goes.
And then you guys got a group at defensive end, a young group there with Robert Wooten, Alec Bryant, and then Justin Beatles. Obviously, Darrell Bailey moved over to the offense. But what do you see from them? Robert got on the field quite a bit as a freshman. But what about the other two guys in terms of their development? Where's that group at?
They're all ahead of schedule. They're all doing good. Robert, like you mentioned, was a guy who played the most reps. He might have played 200-ish reps, maybe 250 last year, which every rep you take as a freshman should make you better as a sophomore. Beatles, Bryant, Wooten, they all hang out together. They all go to study hall together. They all lift together. Football is important to them. School is important to them. And I just know when I watch them leave this morning, how they look compared they looked when they walked in. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, they're more experienced, they're more hungry. And the beauty of the way we play defense here and the way we play defensive line is we kind of rotate players like hockey teams would. We're going to run hockey shifts, hockey lines, get 3 or 4 plays, get in, get out. And no matter if you're a bigger guy, a smaller guy, a powerful guy, or a rush guy, it's our job as coaches to find your role to go find 10 to 15 to 20 plays a game. And all 3 of those guys do have some position flex, whether it be rushing, whether it be dropping, whether it be third down, moving inside, rushing. So all 3 of them can handle the playbook mentally. And again, it's an exciting time for those 3 kids, and I'm excited. They're in good shape.
And then Desean Crawford is a guy who had a great season before you arrived in 2019, and then couldn't seem to get on the field. I don't know, injuries slowed him down, and just didn't seem right. Is he back to where he was, kind of physically, healthy? And what are your expectations for him this spring?
Yeah, Day has played winning football here. He's played above average football. He was a starter on a good team and made a bunch of plays. Had some injuries, had some setbacks last year, and probably played his best 2 games, limited reps, but in the last couple games he really kind of found his groove again, especially versus good teams. Versus Clemson, he might have been our best interior player. He also had his best day of winter conditioning today. He's getting back to his old self. He's getting back in shape. He feels healthy again. And where he fits in the rotation, training camp will help dictate that. But he's also an older guy who has played, and that's valuable. He's won games and played winning football on good teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But the beauty of the system is we can play multiple guys and keep guys fresh, and we're going to need them all. And there's 5 other guys I can talk about that we're going to need as well. But that's the beauty of the system is fresh, healthy, different types of bodies, and that actually makes it harder on the offensive line, blocking different people every other series. So that's part of the philosophy. And again, we're excited for camp to see how it shakes out, but I expect all those guys to play a major role in how our defense does this season.
Thanks.
Andy, did you have something else for Coach?
Yeah, I just had one quick one. Bill, when you look at the recruiting profiles you have of some of these defensive ends, they all seem to kind of fit the same physical profile. They're 6'3" or taller, really long, rangy guys. Is that precisely what you're looking for in a defensive end with the way quarterbacks run and how quickly the ball gets out? I mean, is that going to be a physical requirement that you look for in all your defensive ends?
I don't know if there's a specific prototype. We all want Joey Bosa, but how it works, at least for me in the way we recruit at Tech, is character is number 1. Are you a good player? Are you good in school? Are you a good teammate? All that stuff is baked into what we want. And I will take a shorter guy, higher character, over a taller, faster guy. Now, we got lucky in this last class. I feel really blessed with the guys we got. But the system will allow you to play any shape or size. Who you are, how you play is more important than what you do on the scale or on the measuring tape. But character is number one, and that's the way we recruit. And the refreshing part here is that's a major factor in how we determine who we want to recruit as prospect is their character. And the longer I've been here, the easier sell this place is. Winning tradition, education, fan base. Like, you have to look, and I still haven't found, but you have to look for the negatives. I've been at other places, and you have to kind of camouflage some of your flaws when you recruit. But my book is open. The door should be open here. This is an easy place to recruit in my mind due to the history, the fan base, the education, the Hokie Stone, the way campus looks, Enter Sandman, like on and on and on. And I'm still learning about it, which is very exciting.